Welcome to another edition of Navigating Life with Coach Lowe. I'm so excited today because I have one of my babies from our community here in Dallas, but he is now in LA. I have him on with me because he was just not willing to allow failure to define him. And he did the thing, y'all. So I just had to get him on here to encourage some people. So I just want to welcome you, the audience, today. Thank you for joining us. And I am going to turn the mic over to my friends, Myles Collins. Welcome, Myles.
How's it going, everyone? How y'all doing? Yeah.
Please introduce yourself to the audience for me.
My name is Myles Collins. I'm a recent graduate from Texas Tech University. I majored in media strategies with a minor in advertising. And right now, I just secured a job out of college with a pretty reputable company. So I'm excited about that, and I want to share my story about how I faced some struggles in the mix of college. With academics and social and all the aspects that come with going to college and stuff. So yeah, I right now I'm in Los Angeles, California. I grew up in between Los Angeles and Dallas, Texas. Um, yeah, and I'm just look forward to sharing my story.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And it is a story to be shared, y'all. So listen up. You don't want to miss not a detail. So, okay, Myles, all jokes aside. So as I as we talked, and I've just kind of been a witness, observing from a distance over the years. I just want to say I am so proud of you because it was not easy.
At
So
all.
let's start with unpacking your backstory. So share with us a little bit about, what life was like before you went to college. What was middle
Mhm,
school? What was high school like? What was it like being raised by your parents?
mhm.
What was going on, and how did those things help you or hinder your transition into your collegiate experience?
Okay. Growing up, I moved around a lot. I was born in Texas, lived in Boston, um, then flew back and forth between Texas and California. So I was always like trying to like making new friends. I was always making new friends. Always had to change who my friends were, and so my parents were like kind of always had a watchful eye over me because I was always trying to entering new friend groups and stuff. So my parents were kind of overprotective a little bit growing up. Like they it didn't help. I was also a silly kid too, so I used to think everything was funny. I used to I would like between me and my sister, like my parents used to say like she's the my younger sister. She's kind of like the mischievous one. Like if she ever did something wrong, you know, you couldn't like it was hard to find out about it. You had to find out because she was gonna try to cover her trail. Me, it was like I would do something wrong, but I didn't try to hide it, and I would just like try to convince my parents. I was like, "You gonna tell me this is not funny?" Like I used to think everything I did was funny. Like I was just a silly kid. So you know, like growing up, my parents were definitely kind of overprotective of me based upon how they grew up. How my parents grew up, they had their leash was a lot longer than mine. So I mean, they could definitely do really well, kind of whatever they wanted. They had different circumstances, but kind of whatever they wanted growing up. And then they wanted different for me.
Mhm.
So pre-college, I was more my leash was a lot shorter than my parents. I was always on lockdown. I couldn't hang out. I definitely couldn't leave the house 2 days in a row. You should have had all your fun the first day. It was one of those type of things. Um, so my parents were definitely kind of a little more restricted over me based upon how they're raised, and then based upon how my personality and the kid I was. I was always one of those kids always doing something. I was always trying to do something. and some I probably wasn't supposed to be doing, but I always try to, explain it in a way that, uh, they should have seen. This should be okay with them because it's okay with me. So that was, basically how it was for me growing up. And just I have a one sibling, my younger sister, but we're 5 years apart. So we didn't really hang out that much. We weren't really ever at the school at the same time. Um, she was in kindergarten when I was in fifth grade, but I never really, was around her like that. We'd have the same friends. So, it was definitely a experience of trying to like, meet new people and fit in but also like, it was also difficult with my parents, having like had their restrictions on me. So like my friends like from high school know like my mama don't play. She don't let Miles do nothing. Like they used to ask me to hang out like a month in advance. Like they would schedule it. Like, all right, we need Miles on this day, so we gotta ask Miss Collins if he can come out a whole month in advance, type thing. So
Wow.
yeah, so I was definitely had some restrictions, but my parents were great. Great parents. They I didn't like it at the time, and I didn't understand it. But as I got older, um, I could tell they're doing it more because they love me and they want to protect me based on their own experiences. So that was kind of how it was when I got to college. So when I got to college, it was my first time where I was like, I can go outside 2 days in a row, or like I can, like no one's like, no, I don't have to check in with anyone. Like, I was like, it was definitely my first taste of freedom. I didn't get like kind of not no freedom, and then they just all the freedoms in the world. So, it was when I got to college, it was like, okay, you know, um, I kind of get to experience some stuff a little bit. Also, the high school I went to, um, I really didn't like the high school I went to. Like the was no diversity at all. So when I growing up in California or LA or whatever, like there's diversity was kind of like the people who were the majority, like say like white people were the minority at like the schools I grew up before. So when I moved to Dallas, it was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So it was a little difficult. It was a change for me for to adjust, and it was difficult. So I didn't really have a lot of options for friends either, or a lot of options for like girls I wanted to talk to and stuff like that, because I felt like I was limited on my options. And I'm not really a person who likes to settle a lot. So if I can have my way, then I'm just not gonna do nothing. So I'm not, yeah. So that kind of goes into why I was so limited on my social aspect, and I was kind of socially immature. Uh, so that's what goes into when I got to college. I was ready to to take on the world.
So you were ready to explore what had kind of been held back for
Hmm.
so long. You have been trying to get across the fence to
Yeah,
grab on to
to
the
some.
other side.
Hmm. Hmm.
You wanted to hop the fence and you
Yeah,
couldn't.
yeah, 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 yeah. Then they
Okay,
just, yeah.
that's fair. So let's think about this. So if you could think back with me, day one,
Hmm.
Texas Tech,
Hmm.
big man on campus. You doing your thing, mad
Yeah,
swag. I'm from the D town,
yeah,
LA. Where you at? What's going
yeah.
on? What did that look like for you?
Uh, well, it was kind of a shock, because like I said, the high school I went to, I didn't get to choose who the type of people I got to be around. So it was just it was just I got what I got. So when I got to college, when there's different type of people and more people out, I would say I was more accustomed to being around. Like it was a shock because like, I mean, I kind of forgot, like, oh, like, I see how I can move, like, I kind of so like it was night and day how I got to interact with people and friends and socially. So day one, it was just it was fun. I mean, it was definitely fun socially wise. I got to and especially Texas Tech, it has a stigma of being of a party school, and at the time, it definitely was. So I got to I got a lot of attention. I got to have fun. Things I was looking for in high school, I got them whenever I got to Tech.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. So, so you went to college, and so when you thought about, okay, I'm going to Texas Tech, you knew that it was a party school. You was trying to keep that from your parents.
Yeah, yeah. It's not something you tell your parents. Yeah, you tell them everything but that. Yeah,
Right. So, okay. So I'm going to Texas Tech. It's
yeah,
going down.
yeah.
I'm gonna have a ball.
Mhm.
But what was that your vision for college, or did you see academia anywhere in sight?
Okay. So as far as academics was never really important to me even growing. I mean, it was at the elementary level, middle school, but when I got to high school, it kind of lost its importance, especially because I played basketball. So a lot of times growing up, all little kids, they think they go into the league. But I realized that dream ended like around 7th, 8th grade when everyone else was growing and I stopped growing and everyone else was dunking at 13 and I was just still laying the ball up. So I was like, okay, maybe that's not for me. So so like academics, like even then I still played basketball in high school. So like I got a lot of people let me slide by a lot as far as academics. Like if I had like a 65 in the class and, you're playing basketball in high school, you go to your teacher and, hey, I need a 70 to play. They'll be like, okay. They probably, another student who doesn't play sports, they'll be like, sorry, I can't do it for you. But like, for me, I got a lot of a slide, like a lot of leeway because I played sports in high school. So my grades, they would just give it to me because I'm like, I was like, you gonna mess up my season, even though it's really my fault. But I was like, you gonna mess up my season really because you want to give me the grade I deserve. But so academics wasn't that important, and then like also like growing up, I heard like my dad, like people talking about him and stuff, and my dad's successful in his own right in business and stuff like that. So I always heard like he was never really like the most academic person. He was messing up too in school like me. He played sports, but he turned out to be successful. So seeing that as a kid, you think, oh, since my daddy didn't have to do it, you don't tell me I gotta do it because he ain't have to do it. So I'm not doing anything that you try and tell me to focus on my grades and stuff when I know that's not what's necessary. So when I
Okay.
got to college, it was the first time that like grades was like there's no leeway. They're not gonna just give you a grade and like you actually have to like try to get good grades. So I didn't really understand. I never really had to study. I never actually even did homework in high school. So when I got to college, like I was like, I didn't even know how to study. Like I didn't even know how to do homework really. I didn't really. So I was just like, listen, I'm gonna do the same things I was doing before. I'm finna just on a different level though. Like I'm finna do what I want to do and not really have my discipline, but I'm finna just do it on the collegiate level, which is more fun. And I get to have more experiences and whatnot. So, I get to drink and hang out and talk to girls and party and stuff like that. And I was having fun. This is what I wanted to do in high school. I just never had the opportunity to. I always say like if I ever, if I had um the same environment like as far as people in high school, I probably would have had the same experience I had in college and high school, and I feel like it would have been better adapted when I got to college. But because a lot of things I was doing in college, people already did in high school. So
Okay.
yeah, but Yeah, I could academics wasn't the definitely wasn't the first thing or second thing on my mind whenever I got to college.
Okay, so we got that. So you was ready to party. You was ready
Yeah.
to have a good time. You
Mhm.
was there for the fun. What while you were going through this process and you were not going to class and things of that nature like
Mhm.
you should have, but you continued on with this fun, did you ever stop to take an introspective look and say, okay, now, Miles, like, don't
Mhm.
you know who your parents are?
I did. I had I had those moments a couple times, but is that they always came a little too late at the like towards the end of the semester. Like I never had those moments when my meal account, like the money I had in my meal account was fresh, the money I had in my bank account was fresh. Like those moments of introspective, I never really had them in the beginning and middle of the semesters. I had them like at the end when it was too late, when I was hungry and I didn't have no money in my meal account and I didn't want to call my parents to put some money in there because I knew I haven't really been calling like I should have and my grades weren't good and I knew they was gonna ask to see him to put money in my account. So like, and then like it also my grades were so bad whenever like I finally realized and woke up that it was oftentimes too late to even fix them. So as like those the inter perspective moments, I think that's the word you used. You had
Introspective.
I
Mhm.
yeah I had they came a little too late. So then I would just after I had those moments, I would just be depressed and I just be like down and out and act like someone's doing something to me. And my friends would be like, "Why are you so depressed?" And I'd be like, "I." And having like back to back semesters. And I remember the second semester. After the first semester, I vowed to myself I wouldn't let it happen again. And when it happened the second semester, my friends would ask me why I was looking so sad, and I'd be like, I did it again, y'all. Like, I don't know why I keep doing making the same mistakes over and over. But
So
all those, my wake up moments, it was always too late.
okay. So Miles, let me ask you this. So you keep saying that your friends were asking you, what are you so
We're so down about why you
depressive?
acting depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they were asking you that question. Were your friends, were they passing their classes and hanging out? Did they have more harmony or did they just not care? They were there for the party, period.
my friends were more like me. My friends were more like me. They was there for a good time too. Um, but they were a little bit more on their work than me. Not still doing bad. Not we weren't doing good, but they were just like if I was here, they were right here, and like
Okay.
and then you're supposed to be right here. So like I'm just they're they're doing bare minimum like me, and but I mean at the same time they were depressed too. So they're like they're moments of depression when they realize they messing up and they gonna have to meet their parents like head on. Like they had their own moments in that as well. So yeah, it wasn't. They were. It was the we was definitely I think like flocking together. Like we was the same type of group. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, birds of a feather. Okay,
Yeah,
y'all
yeah,
were flocking together. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
so
Yeah.
how important? Like now that you're on the other side of it, you
Mm-hmm.
are a college graduate now.
Mm-hmm.
When looking back, how do you see influence? Do you see influence as a big deal? Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that there was a time where maybe you should have pivoted or
Mm-hmm.
shifted or adjusted your friend group in order to kind of move in a different direction? What do you think was the hindrance of you changing your path
Mm-hmm.
in that season?
Uh, People you surround yourself with has a lot to do with where you end up being. So when I first got to college, I was around people who, were doing the same things as me and got kicked out of school like I got kicked out of school. So it wasn't really any shock there that what happened to them ended up happening to me. Um, but I still I realized that influence does play a big part. I learned that in college, like when I used to live with my friends who like to, have fun and stuff. When I lived in an apartment with them, it's like the fun is right there. Like, you open your door and there is a party downstairs, and it's not just like on the weekends. It's Sunday through Monday,
Right.
like so, like and there's we used to just to keep the door open, like people just walk in, like it's like it was like a clubhouse, I guess, something like that. And I realized because I experienced not living with my friends one semester, and that one semester was my first semester at actually being at the university where I made the dean's list. So I made the dean's list that one semester where I wasn't living with my friends,
Wow.
and it taught me that influence doesn't play a big part. Like but it taught me that I can still do things I want to do. I can still text my the homies and be like, hey, what y'all on? What y'all doing? Blah blah, and and we can link up and just hang out, or you know I don't have to like be 24/7 in the environment with them, because then that allows more of an opportunity to make mistakes.
Right. Okay. So you got ahead of us, but I'm going
Yeah.
to kind of pull us back a little
Mhm.
bit. So there came a time where you decided that you were going to cut your parents off. So
Mhm.
you knew you were doing bad in school. So you're
Yeah.
going to cut off your resource,
Yeah.
your resource to all things great. You're going to
Yeah.
cut them off. And
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad when like when people word it like that. I'm like, ah, damn. Like, I didn't do that, but like, I mean, I did that. It was like a purposeful, like, they hating on me. I'm gonna cut them off. It was more just like, in my mind, like when it was happening, it's like I'm messing up so bad. How I used to look at it is I'm messing up so bad. They didn't raise me like this. They would be so disappointed in me. I'm gonna try to, pick everything up and struggle and fix it by myself, when I didn't have the tools to do that at all. So I mean, I did. I mean, I started dodging my parents' calls, like my freshman sophomore year. Like I started dodging their calls. I started not reaching out to them like I'm supposed to. Didn't talk to them for like maybe like a month or 2 months. Like just really not necessarily just having that open line of communication like you're supposed to have with your parents. So yeah, I definitely it's more just because I didn't want to disappoint them, and I didn't want to see the actual disappointment. So I was just like, if I don't see it, in my mind, maybe it's not happening. like I mean, my thought process back then was like it was definitely jaded.
so would you say that there was a level of guilt and shame where when it came to what you were doing with your life and the opportunity that your parents provided for you, you were not coming meeting the standard.
Mm-hmm.
And you felt some kind of way about that. So it was like, okay, I'm not in the place where I need to be able to reconnect with them, so I'm just going to just close this door until I could see
Mm-hmm.
some light today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then Miss Jan Collins shows up.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So yeah, I told you about this before. So I this is my second semester of my freshman year, and this is deep. I think this is a semester where I was having the most fun. Like I was having the time of my life. I was having the time of my life. Like I was walking on campus. Like you couldn't tell me nothing. Like you really couldn't tell me nothing. I really thought like I was that guy. Like I was floating when I was walking. Like everywhere I went, I was just like just like I was just yeah. It's just silly seeing it now because I would see I just sorry just like a little side comment like whenever I got older and I'd be like a senior I would see like freshmen who like reminded me of myself and I know that float like I know that walk like you need to call your mama like yeah but my mom so yeah I was deep into I wasn't talking to my parents I cut them off, and so I haven't talked to my mom like probably like 2 months. My dad like 2 months, dodging their calls. Like I always, whenever I like didn't answer the phone, I tell myself, "Oh crap, I'm gonna call him back." Like it usually like woke me up out of my fun I was having, and I was like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna call him back," and I never did. So one day I was in my dorm, and one day I was in my dorm, and I think it was like 10 a.m. or 10:30 and I had a class called Intro to Acting, and that was it's supposed to be at class at that time, but I wasn't there. I wasn't going to that class. Like I was kind of confused on where the classroom actually was. That's how often I wasn't actually going. And at this point, this is like 3 months, 3.5 months into the semester, and I wasn't really necessarily sure where the class even was in the building it was in. So my roommate was gone. He had an 8 a.m. He started his day, and he was always studious and all his stuff. And so he was gone doing what he had to do. And then so it's like 10 a.m., 10:30. I'm waking up. I'm I'm thinking about like well, I'm finna text my friends, see what they doing. We might hoop, we might we might do whatever that day had entailed for us. So so I'm just thinking about, how good of a day is gonna be, the sun is shining, and I hear a knock on my door. And I was like, usually my friends like just text me or, you know, who's knocking on my door? Can't be an RA. So I'm like, what's going on? So when I go to the door, there's a peephole and someone has a thumb on the peephole and it's covered. So I can't see inside. So I was like, that's weird. Like, why are they playing like that this early in the morning? Like, I was like, who's playing? So my friends have done that before. So I was like, hey man, I talked to the door. I was like, hey man, stop playing. Like, y'all play too much, or I'm not opening the door. I might have used like some cuss words too, because I'm talking to one of my friends. So I was like, like stop playing, whatever. And also like I was also like I didn't know what was going on because like a lot of times I lived in the only all boys dorm on campus. So a lot of times it was kind of like the slum, like it's kind of like a lot of boys being bad. So I was like, I don't know what people trying to be funny or might try to rush me or whatever. So I wasn't opening the door because I was I wasn't trying to play with it. But they didn't take their thumb off the people. So I was like, okay, they keep playing this much. I'm pretty sure it's one of my friends. So I'm just gonna open the door. And so I open the door and I say, what? And it's my mama like standing there, and she looks like just hurt. And when I seen her, I was like, I kind of like, I think I might have screamed. I was like, oh, I was like, oh no, I was like, oh damn, you came to ruin my fun. I was like, oh no, come on. I was like, oh, why you do this? And like, I like, I wanted to like close the door, and like, and just hide and do something. I was like I was just caught. I was like, I can't even go nowhere. I'm on the 8th floor. Like I can't like. I was thinking about exit routes. I was like, okay. So I like, she just walked in as soon as I opened the door, and I was just like, I just didn't say anything. I just looked at her, my mouth open, and I was just surprised. And I was just like, oh my god. I was just in shock. And I said, what are you doing here? I said, what are you doing here? And she was just shaking her head like this, and she was like, she didn't know what to say to me. Yeah, so she was like, I don't even know what to do with you right now. So I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you mean? She was like, don't play with me. And I was like, okay. And then so we just sat there stood there in my room looking at each other for like maybe like 3 minutes. And she was so hurt on her face. And I was just sitting there looking stupid. And she was like, okay. She started looking around my room after she was done looking at me. And she was like, all right, so she said, what you want to do? And I said, what you mean? She said, you gonna, can I trust you to go say goodbye to your friends, or you gonna run off? Or what you trying to do? Like, are you gonna help me pack, or do I need to pack? Because obviously they can't really handle anything right now. Like, like we gonna get you out of here today, like type thing. And I was like, oh my god, I was like, you moving way, like you moving fast. I was like, oh no. I was like, please. And I was like, sat down and I told her, I was like, she took me, like we drove, like my mom flew from Texas, got a rental car, drove, put in the GPS, found my dorm, went through all that just because, I wasn't communicating with her. So it was I just put my mother through all that. And I was like, one of the times where it first started clicking that I was being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I was really being selfish. And I was like, oh well, I'm not even thinking about anything from her perspective. So eventually I ended up convincing her to let me stay and let me finish out the semester. I wanted to try to bring my grades up and whatnot. Didn't. As soon as she left, it was kind of like a lighter version of what was happening before. Like just more of like, she can pop up any minute, so let me just chill. So I was like, but yeah, and then even then, uh, before coming to my dorm, she went to my class. And she went to class, the intro to acting class I was supposed to be in, thinking she was gonna find me there. And my teacher told her, Myles had to show up to class in a couple weeks. Um, you know, if his grade is in jeopardy, he might want to start coming to class. So she went to my class. Then she went to my dorm. So I'm glad I was at my dorm, so I didn't have her run around everywhere because I wasn't really answering phone calls and stuff. So I don't know what would have happened, but it was definitely an experience I'll never forget for sure. And uh, definitely taught me a lesson about um, how selfish I could be, especially being young. You can be very, very selfish and not even comprehend that you're being selfish. I couldn't even understand that I was being selfish, but that was the first time I ever connected.
Wow. Okay. So, mom and dad gave you another chance. So you
Yes.
get to finish up the semester
Uh huh.
and you continue in the same vein that you had been operating.
Mm-hmm.
So while you did learn a lesson, you still were in the same environment. So you succumbed to the same way of
Mm-hmm.
life,
Mm-hmm.
which ultimately led to what you talked about. The university ended up releasing you.
Mm-hmm.
So they kicked you out. You talked about having a cumulative GPA of 0.09. I said,
No, not point. It's point nine, 0.9, still bad. But
yeah, that's
yeah, 0.9. You shouldn't
zero,
even. I don't even
zero
know if you
point
could walk properly. Yeah,
nine.
yeah, it was point nine. Point nine, you probably can't walk properly either. But
Okay, so it was 0.9.
yeah,
That is
which is
still
terrible.
nothing.
Yeah, which is terrible. Yeah, when I left uh Texas Tech at a point nine cumulative GPA. So the semester before they kicked me out, I passed one class, and I passed one class with a D, all F's and then one D. I passed one class. So to really put people in perspective, like he said he was having fun. I was having fun. Like I was having because I wasn't doing nothing, but I wasn't doing no school, so I wasn't there doing anything I was supposed to do. So um, how tech handles it is if you get like a certain amount of semesters in a row on probation, they're gonna relieve you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they relieved me. from the university. So they kicked me out the university. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah. They kicked me out from the university and with a .9 GPA. So that's how that ended up happening for sure.
Wow. Okay, so your mom comes, she gives you another opportunity. You continue in your same way.
Mhm.
So it took the university to
Yeah,
take action and kick your tail out of school.
yeah.
And then what happens next, Myles?
Um. So I was kind of in denial at first. I was like, cause you have like the summer before everyone goes back to school. So I didn't tell any of my friends that I got kicked out of school because it's embarrassing. And even my friends who were doing this, living the same type of lifestyle as me, they didn't get kicked out. They were just right on the edge.
Right.
So they didn't get kicked out. So I didn't tell anyone. So when I didn't show up back to school, like people were in shock. They're like, "What happened to Miles?" Blah blah blah. And basically, just I got kicked out of school. People started finding out I got kicked out of school and whatnot. And it was embarrassing for sure. It was embarrassing, and then it was like I was disappointed, and I never really faced the consequence to my actions academically. Like growing up, like I said, they used to let me slide by because I play sports or whatever. So this is the first time where like I'm being facing the consequences of my actions. So um the one like one of the that was one of the many things I want to uh apply my parents on it are is that they make sure I didn't stop taking classes. Like they wanted me to like not just be a dropout forever. They wanted me to like continue to put down hours towards my degree. So my parents had me take community college courses. So I had no friends. Oh, this like, and I moved back with my parents in LA. And this is not where I grew up in California. This is in like Ventura area. Like I grew up in like the Inland Empire, and then now they're out in like kind of like towards like the Ventura area, like the valley. So I didn't know no one out here where I'm at right now. So it was just me, and my family was disappointed in me, and my parents were hurt, and it was the first time in my life like I felt their disappointment, and like they didn't care if I made mistakes. Like they stopped caring. They're like they expected me to mess up. That's the first time in my life where usually when I mess up, my parents act hurt or surprised or disappointed. Like they were just like, "Well, that's what you do," and that was the number one thing that changed me for real because I never seen myself as someone who's like who doesn't achieve things and like it's just like it's a disappointment. Like whenever I was going about my life in college, like I just saw it as I was living out stuff I never got to do, and I was and I always knew I was going to be successful. I always knew I was going to be successful because I've always been able to talk to people. And I've always had like kind of a way with words, and I've always been kind of like people have taken me to be like kind of charismatic sometimes. So like a lot of times like I go in there and try to be personable and joke, and people let me slide by with stuff like because they can tell like I'm a cool dude, I'm a nice guy. So like people let me a lot of times let me slide. So like it was just the first time I was really facing like the consequence of my actions. So I'm taking community college classes, and then I'm working too. So I'm working at a movie theater with high school kids, and I like I told you before, when I was working at this movie theater, these high school kids like, I'm new, and they're like, where are you from? What high school you go to? I was like, I'm not from here. I'm in college. They're like, oh, where? I was like, Texas Tech. And they're like, oh, why are you here? And I like explain like, I kind of messed up in school, so I came back with my parents. And like in their eyes, they're like, oh, he's like, he's a bum. Like he's a adult, a bum working with us, like type thing. So I was like, I'm starting to see myself from other people's perspectives for the first time, and not just from my own. And another thing I didn't like was that, being a black man in America, like if you mess up, um, you resemble like all black men in type of way. And I say that in that, like, say, other individuals, like say if, in this case, like if a white man messes up in school the same way which I did, he messed up. It's just him. If his name is Tom, Tom messed up. But me messing up, like, and I drop out, it just it turns me into a statistic. Just like, okay, I'm just another black man who's, you
You're
know,
representative of the Black
yeah, like
culture.
I'm just another one who's messing up.
Yeah.
Another one just to add to the list of dropouts. But
Right.
I'm not a regular dropout. Like I know I'm gonna do something like that. I was like, I'm different. I'm a different type of dropout. So I was like, so that made me like just grind. And I got a 4.0. My first ever all A's that semester at home, community college, and working at the same time. And I'm paying back my parents for some classes. I'm paying off community college classes, like, because my parents have invested a lot in me, and a lot of them went down the drain. So half the money I'm making is going to them. Um, take community college classes. So that was my first half a year there, was doing that. Second half a year, doing the same thing. I got a promotion at the movie theater I was working at. Um, they gave me like a little a little fake job title, the assistant facilities manager. But I took it though. I mean, I appreciate it. It's my first ever position with the word manager in it. So I had like, I was proud of that. And then 10 classes again, I got another 4.0. So now it's starting to build up in my system like, okay, I'm capable of getting good grades and exceeding. Like I'm learning the foundations how to study. I never really knew how to do homework and study. Like I never actually had to do it. So I'm like, okay, I'm learning how to do it. And then so at that point, at the end of this, it's been a year since I left Texas Tech. Uh, my GPA is getting better. Like at that point, it's like a 2.4, 2.3. Because I'm also replacing some of the failed grades I got. So at that point, it's like 2.4, 2.3. So now I have the opportunity to transfer to an actual university. So I was thinking about going to Cal State Long Beach in Long Beach. I was trying basically all my decisions are based upon not necessarily academics. I was just thinking about the beach and Snoop Dogg. I was listening to Snoop Dogg's album. I was in what I think it's called Dog Pound or something like that. I was listening to that the whole time, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be in the LBC going, going crazy." I was like, "Oh yeah, for sure. I love Long Beach." And I took a tour of the campus, and I was like, "Okay, I really like it out there." And then one of my friends hit me up, and he was like, "Hey man, we want you back in Lubbock, where Texas Tech is. Like, we all miss you and stuff." Because I told him I had the opportunity to go back to the university. So I let my friends convince me to go back because they missed me, and like they want to see you know get the band back together or whatever. So I was like, and they're starting to grow too. Like they're learning from the mistakes, and um yeah. So I chose to reapply to Texas Tech, and then I got in. So yeah, and then
Okay, so you
yeah.
okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that starts my journey into going back to the university. Yeah.
Okay. So what what did you so was it just your friends that encouraged you to go back to Texas Tech, or deep on the inside of you, did you feel like you had something to prove to yourself as well as to your parents that I can do this?
It was definitely that. Definitely that. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to prove to myself for sure. And definitely others. I remember when I was working at the movie theater, there's a girl who worked there. And I remember we were like working concessions or whatever. And we were cool and like we're cool, whatever. And then I remember she said, "What are your plans?" And I said, I'm going back to Texas Tech." And she said, "You're just gonna mess up again." And I
Wow.
was like, "Dang." I was like, first of all, yeah, it's crazy for you to say.
Right.
But I was like, okay, uh, that's crazy. You should go. Yeah, sorry. And then I was like, okay, that's crazy. Um, but I like that struck with me. It was like people are rooting for your downfall. Like people are not rooting for your downfall. People don't have the same. Not everyone's gonna have faith in you. So you have faith in yourself. So I
Right.
was like, okay, I wanted to prove something to myself, my parents, and just to other people. Like when I got back to the university, people who never left, who were in the same class, like the 2020 class, I'm sure they were like, "Oh, here's Myles. We remember what he was on freshman year.
Right.
Like, we remember what he was on, so he's probably like coming back and just gonna be on the same stuff."
Right.
And I came to prove something just to anyone and everyone.
Okay. So, so Myles, I wanted to ask you this question because I believe that there are quite a few lessons that you could have taken away along the way, along your journey. So, if you could say something to a parent, so the world is not open yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the world will reopen, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And so if university opens back up full-fledged again, whether it be spring or fall semester of this year, then what is something that you would encourage that student in? What is if it's just one or two nuggets
Mm-hmm.
that you can share that you learned from your own journey, what would you say to that student?
That's a good question. Um, I feel like I would tell the student that a lot of people are gonna try to tell you who you are when you first get there. Like they're gonna try to paint you in a certain light and be like, "Oh, you look like this. Oh, be that." I mean, I fell into that. Like people like, "Oh, Maj, you look like, you know, you like to have fun. You look like you know, like oh, a girls or a girl might like me. So oh, that's I feel like I had to be that guy who I had to like, oh well, that's what people think I am. Let me go ahead and be that. And then that's not necessarily the guy I actually am. So I say a lot of times people gonna try to make you out to be something you're not. So I would say stay true to yourself and know who you are, and don't try to um, fill shoes and step into shoes that aren't meant for you and aren't your size. I would say definitely be true to yourself and don't let other people tell you who you are, because that's when you can start getting in trouble and start swaying away from your own path and what you need to go. Um, Instead of focusing on what's meant for you and being in the shoes that that are perfect for you.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I like that. And I think that that can help somebody, because that's not just in university, that's in life. People will try to fit you in stereotypes and, put you wherever it is that they want you to be. But it's important that you are clear about your identity. You know who you are, who God created you to be, and what He created you to do. It doesn't look like anyone else's thumbprint, fingerprint, nothing. So we have to know that in life, period. So, and then I'm going to ask you another question.
Okay.
So, what about to a parent? I think I started saying that and then I switched to the student.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this time I'm going to ask that question. What about the parent? What do you feel like you could lend to a parent to help a parent understand what a student goes through and what they need? as it relates to support from their parent?
For the parents out there, I would definitely tell them that you should just know that your child is gonna make mistakes, for sure. Um, no one is perfect, and I've heard you say before, like, there's no such thing as balance. There's just harmony. So balance, it's not gonna look like this where they're perfect. It's gonna look like they messing up here. I mean, they're messing up here, but they're excelling here. So it's the goal is try to start evening some of that out. So your child's gonna make mistakes because there's too many opportunities to make mistakes.
Right.
No one knows everything. You going off to college to make mistakes. So I'll definitely tell them just understand that your child will make mistakes, and then I'll definitely try to say, maybe like a lack of judgment. Try not to judge your child and the mistakes they make because, I mean, I'm sure they make mistakes themselves,
Right.
and no one's and it's yeah, no one,
Nothing is
yeah,
perfect.
hmm yeah, yeah. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
You're gonna leave it at
Yeah,
that.
don't leave it at that.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so what I love about your story, Myles, is that you made some mistakes. You made some
Mhm,
bad decisions, but you had the right parents, and God was on your side, definitely.
I'm definitely blessed to have the parents I have.
Yes. So you had an opportunity to have a grandiose time in college. You had the college experience, you matured, you had to return back home, you had to endure some humiliation, you were judged by your decisions. But what I love is that you didn't hide. You didn't hide. You remained true to who you are because you talked about the difference between you and your sister. And you
Mhm,
still chose not to hide why you were back home working in a movie theater, going to the community college.
mhm,
But it was there that you began to discover that, you know what, I was really acting out of selfish ambition. I
mhm,
really hurt my parents and I really need to redeem this. So, in their love for you, in their care for you, they decided that, hey, you know what? Here are the requirements for you to stay here, and this is what you have to do, right? So, you had to keep your classes going and you redeemed yourself. That is so phenomenal because it does not happen for everyone that way. And we even talked about how there were friends of yours who had a very similar experience, but they did not return back to university.
mhm.
So you returned back to university, you redeemed yourself, and you became a three-time offender of the dean's list in your own
Yeah.
words.
Mhm, mhm.
Go Miles! I am so excited to just release that part. It just makes me
Thank you.
just I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited for my friends and your parents.
Mhm,
I'm so happy for them because they get to experience the fullness of the journey, right? Because you don't always get to um take part in the fruit of it all. So you actually planted some new seeds in your life and you got to watch it grow up. So now you were in your senior year and
mhm.
you became a part of the president's list.
Yes.
You better
Yeah.
do it.
I was gonna tell you, don't forget about that. I was like, I might have to, I might not have to slide that in here.
Oh no, I
She might have
couldn't
to look
forget
that one.
about that.
Okay.
Miles, this is just such an amazing story, and I pray that this will be the one story that goes viral. This
Mhm,
will be the one podcast that the numbers shoot out of the sky, because I believe that not just African American men and women, but students that are in middle school, students that are in high school, because at some point there will be greater expectation for their lives, right?
Mhm.
So, with that being the case, they will need some wisdom to guide them. But you got to live the life on the other side of the fence, like you decided,
Mhm.
but then you redeemed yourself. You graduated on the president's list
Mhm.
after being kicked out of the same university you graduated from. That is a big
Mhm.
win.
That is.
That is
That is.
huge.
That is. That is.
That is huge. So I just want to say congratulations to you. You graduated, you talked about it when you introduced yourself. You graduated with your degree in what is it, marketing?
It's
Um,
media
media,
strategies.
media strategies and a minor in advertising. And I mean, I'm just like, this kid is brilliant and he was just playing himself shady. Like, are you serious right now? All
Yeah.
that potential was in there.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I was doing a lot. I was doing a lot for sure.
Yeah, so tell us about what's next for you because there are some great things going down the pike. So bring
Yeah.
us into what's happening now.
So I'm supposed to be moving to Houston probably within like the next 2 months because I got a job at a company where it's definitely a Fortune 500 company, uh, and I'm gonna be being like an area manager at a warehouse. So I'm gonna be managing like I think it's like between 50 and 150 people in Houston in their warehouse in Houston. So I'm excited about that. It's gonna be my first like actual real job, and like I'm gonna be having my own apartments and whatnot, and like living by myself for the first time. And also, I'm just the good thing about it is I feel like I'm blessed because whenever I found out I got the position, the company asked me where did I want to live, and they had me pick a region. So I picked the southeast and south. So that's Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, Florida. Um, yeah, I think like uh, Tennessee, Mississippi, and they gave me Houston. And I don't know no one in any of those other states, but my grandma, my aunt, my friends, cousins, they live in Houston. So I just feel like I'm blessed to be able to be out there, and I just look forward to, you know, putting myself in the right spots, right positions, working hard, being charismatic, and just I'm very hungry. I want to try everything. I want to try my hand in media. I want to try my hand in and really anything. I don't want to limit myself for sure.
Good, 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 good. So you are wide open for opportunity. I love it, love it, love it. And
Hmm.
so, wow, what uh, an amazing ending. I
Yeah.
mean, um, I don't know. I had another podcast, and I was just saying to her that I felt like a proud mom. I guess I feel like a proud auntie because your mom is my friend. But I didn't know this story, and it's interesting because I don't know if you remember, but Trinity and I, my daughter, we came there for a college visit to Pepperdine, and
Mm.
you went to the mall with us. And so we got to actually see you. It was in the summer months, and you were being all distant because you was the big man on campus in Texas. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I listen. That don't sound like something I would do. I'm not.
You were separating yourself, and I was just like, see, he grown now. He don't want to be with the
I
family
think if
no
it
more.
was around the age of like when was this? Like what year was this?
So this was I want to say this was Trinity's, I want to say it was her senior year. So it was in
Oh,
2017.
I remember. Oh, I
Yeah.
remember. Oh, That's crazy. I do remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. You spot on. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I was smelling myself then. Yeah. Yeah. No, I was. Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah,
couldn't tell me
I could
nothing.
pick that up.
You
I
couldn't tell
picked
me
that
nothing.
up.
Yeah.
It was just, but so it's just so interesting because I actually got to see you evolve,
Yeah.
and you landed well on your feet, strong in your
Mhm.
stance. And
Mhm.
I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you. I
Any
appreciate
any
it.
last words? Any last words? Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you would like to leave with the audience?
Uh, so I would just say it's easier said than done, and it's easy just to hear someone saying it like on a video or whatever. But you know, just whatever circumstance or predicament you're in, you just take from my situation. Just I was very much down and out, and I even wrote myself off. But your story isn't over until you take like your last dying breath. So it's never too late to change the circumstances you're in. Um, a lot of times it has to do with opportunity and have an opportunity to change your circumstances. But a lot of times, opportunity it will find you, or it's a possibility of finding you if you're doing the things that you can do in that moment. So, I would just say if and also if it was easy, everyone would do it. So, they're not just handing out jobs to everyone. They're not just handing out happiness and good salaries and clothes and expensive stuff to everyone because then it wouldn't be what it is. So if you want, if you want the fruits, then you got to put in the labor. Basically, what I would say, and that's something that I'm still, um, learning myself and trying to find how willing I am, how much work I want to put in, and I'm still trying to, uh, see, still trying to see how far my labor can go, but and trying to find my fruits and what that is. But I would definitely say, it's not over until it's over.
I love it. Don't count him out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
he got this thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Can't count you out, baby. You did it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We
Thank you. I
are going
appreciate it.
to release you from this. So I just want to say thank you again, Myles, for being our guest tonight. Thank you for sharing with Navigating Life with Coach Lowe and my audience. I am so grateful to have you as a guest. I am so grateful to have your story on this platform. I know that it is going to be a blessing to many. And I just look forward to what is to come. I don't know, people may be interested in how to connect with you. Would you like to share that before we say goodnight?
Yeah. Let me think. I think people can connect with me on my Instagram. I think. Let me just. Where's my phone? Let me see what it is because I'm not a big social media guy, but I think it's Freddie, FREDD. It's Freddie with two D's and three Y's, and then it's a dot M. And yeah, don't yeah. Miles isn't my first name. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, don't ask why it's Freddie. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So they can connect with you, but we will also put it in the description
for sure.
of um of your episode. So people will be able to find you. I just wanted to make sure that you shared it
Mhm.
right here where we are. So again, thank you, sweetheart. And
No
we are
problem.
going to say good night to everyone in podcast land. Good night and thank you for joining us.